Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Fergus. I am the British ambassador to Azerbaijan, and I have come to ask for my telephone box back. I will introduce this gentleman in front of me in a moment, but first I wanted to say thanks from me and from the whole British Embassy in Baku to all of you. We have loved having you here in Baku and letting us be part of the amazing Team GB effort at COP29. COP29 has felt like a bit of a homecoming for me, and not just because I have said, as I have said more than once, that it has felt a bit like Glastonbury 1994. I last attended COPs in Nairobi in 2006 and Bali in 2007 when I was heading the climate change team at the Foreign Office, and there have been many echoes from those days here. Seeing Nicholas, now Lord Stern, having his picture taken in front of the phone box last week, introducing the new Climate Change Committee CEO, Emma Pinchbeck, after having represented the FCO, the team that drafted the climate change bill back in the day, and having come and stay at the residence, two ministers who I last met in New Delhi in 2009, one of whom was fiercely intelligent and dashingly handsome, for a joint visit to show that, the other one obviously, for a joint visit to show that climate and development were two sides of the same coin. Lots of echoes. But the biggest homecoming has been once again to be surrounded by the passionate, committed, expert colleagues who make such a difference and who are seen around the world for making such a difference to the climate conversation and to climate action. I feel that this past fortnight I have refound my tribe. Thank you all for the amazing work you do. Secretary of State, over to you.
Fergus, thank you so much. And I just want to start by putting on record my thanks to you and the team here in Azerbaijan, because you have done an absolutely outstanding job of hosting us at this COP. We are incredibly grateful to you and every person who works with you. So can I have a big round of applause, please, for Fergus and for his team? I also want to just put on record my thanks to the team, the Geo team that put together this incredible pavilion. You've done an amazing job, and I know it's a massive team effort, but I just wanted to mention a few people by name: Chris Hunt, Katie Orr, Sally Hurd, Charlotte Cooper, Karen Paulston, Rachel Baker, and Patrick Lavery, and many, many others who have made this effort possible. I think it has been widely admired, our pavilion. Our coffee is apparently the best coffee, maybe the journalist could tell us if this is true, is the best coffee at COP29. So again, let's hear it for the team that put together this incredible pavilion. And then I just want to say something about our incredible negotiating team in the broadest sense. I was saying to some of the journalists earlier on in the week that, you know, part of the reason why I think the UK and Brazil were asked to support the presidency was just a huge respect for our civil service team. And I've seen that respect, frankly, every day during these negotiations. It's just an incredible and really, truly inspiring team of people. So let's hear it for them and the work, incredible work they are still doing to try and get a decent outcome. I just wanted to offer a few sort of substantive reflections just on my experiences here, in particular at the pavilion and elsewhere. And obviously the talks are still ongoing. I think we were very clear, and we have been very clear, that our clean energy superpower mission is about energy security, lower bills, and good jobs and growth at home. And it is also about engaging with other countries, because we are only 1% of global emissions. And if we're going to keep future generations safe, we've got to engage with those other countries responsible for the 99% of emissions, because climate change knows no borders. And that's what our presence at COP has been all about and continues to be about. It began, of course, with the Prime Minister playing an incredibly important role by being here at the beginning of COP, by announcing our economy-wide, ambitious, 1.5 aligned NDC. I think that has put Britain back on the map of global climate leadership. It sent an incredibly important signal, both Keir's presence here and his ambition. Ambition we then saw repeated at the G20 with the launch of the Global Clean Power Alliance. And I think it's just been an incredibly important signal that he sent about the importance he attaches to this issue, and it's something that I think has come through loud and clear. I also just want to talk about my experience, my own experience at this COP, and in particular here in the UK Pavilion. In the chairs over there, I was actually feeling it was a kind of a day when I was feeling quite tired and I was feeling a little bit grumpy, and I came to hear to launch the Universal Youth Clause as part of our NDC, and I heard these two inspiring women, an Indigenous leader and a lady from Kenya, talking about the way climate change was affecting them, their communities, but also this just incredibly inspiring account of the responsibilities we owe to future generations. And honestly, if there's one event, one thing that will live with me beyond this COP, it is that, and that account where the Indigenous leader was saying, you know, we need to be thinking not just about the one generation or two, but the way we think about it is 400 or 500 years. And the reason I mention that is because we've had 53 events here at the Pavilion. I've been lucky enough to be part of a couple of them. You've hosted a huge range of people, but I think, you know, those moments, those meetings, panels are just an incredibly important part of what this COP is all about. Because, and I was talking to a colleague about this earlier on today, lots of these negotiations are defined by geopolitics, by big forces which it feels hard to control. But these negotiations are also about understanding each other and understanding each other's perspective and where you're coming from. And what's clear to me is that every country of the world is affected by the climate crisis. It's not some theoretical future threat, it's here and now. Every country of the world has a determination to, in one form or another, take action. But every country of the world faces constraints in doing so. And they can be different from developed to developing countries, but they are real. And that understanding, those relationships, are an absolute precondition of success in what I call 198-dimensional chess, these negotiations. And so the events you put on and the way you promote that, we have promoted that common understanding is incredibly important. I'll just end on one last note, which is we don't know what the outcome of this COP is going to be. We want to achieve a good outcome for Britain and for the world. What is a good outcome? A good outcome is one that accelerates the clean energy transition. Why? Because it is right for tackling the climate crisis and for the fates of future generations, and it is right economically for Britain because it will spur jobs and export opportunities and help businesses. And that is the truth about, and that's the truth I want to end on, which is this feels very different from 15 years ago when I was last the Energy Secretary, Energy and Climate Change Secretary. This is an unstoppable transition. It's an unstoppable transition because it's the right thing ethically for intergenerational justice, but it's also an unstoppable transition because it's the right thing economically. Because, you know, this is the way that countries are going to grow, countries are going to succeed, countries are going to create jobs, countries are going to get energy security. And it feels incredibly hard and incredibly tortuous. And the thing I always say to people is they say, well, the COP, it's a kind of very imperfect process, and it is an imperfect process, but it's the best process we've got. And if you want to say, well, has it ever made progress? Has it done anything? Well, 90% of the world's GDP is covered by net zero. When I was Climate Change Secretary in 2009, none of the world's GDP was covered by net zero. So yes, it's imperfect. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's tortuous. Yes, it always goes on beyond the deadline. But you know, it moves, and this transition is moving. I'll just end on this note. These COPs are never the end. They're merely a staging post in the journey. And we want a good outcome from this COP. And I also know that this COP, even with a good outcome, will merely kick off the work over the next 12 months in the run-up to COP30 in Brazil. COP30, an incredibly important moment where the world has its once every 5-year chance to set out its targets to keep 1.5 degrees alive. And this is the point I feel perhaps most of all about this task, is I just feel incredibly privileged to be the Energy Security and Net Zero Secretary from the UK. And I feel incredibly privileged, and I mean this really from the bottom of my heart, because of all of you. You are just an unbelievably inspiring bunch of people. And when I see people early in the morning, late at night, working their hearts out for this incredibly important cause that we all share, I feel both moved and incredibly humbled. So let me just end where I began, which is to say, thank you so much for everything you've all done and are all doing in whatever respect to make this COP a success. I am incredibly proud to be a team with you. Thank you so much.